Alright, welcome to this video. We're going to talk about how to actually get started with film photography. If you're someone that wants to start shooting film maybe this summer on vacation, or just, wants to pick up a new hobby, or, just want to try out film, this is going to be a good video to start. And the number one thing that I want everybody to know is you do not have to be intimidated by all the experts online who know exactly how to shoot film. It's really not that complicated and you can do it. So just to get you started and give you a few tips on how to take the step and how to get the best out of your summer travel or summer at home or winter at home, wherever you are. Let's look and see what we can do to get started and make them look better than they could. So number one, of course, you need a tool. And the number one tool you need is a camera. And I actually made a whole video about it. This is the camera that I recommend everyone get. It's really cheap comparatively to other camera gear. You can get one for under $100. These are great for beginners. You don't have to be intimidated by this. I literally made a whole video about this. Go check it out if you want to learn more about why I recommend this one. But also, it doesn't really matter what you start with. You can get a cheap point and shoot from CVS, for example, and it will do just fine for beginners. You can look online. There's a lot of point and shoot cameras, which that literally just means that you take the camera, look through it, and literally just point and shoot at what you're shooting. That's why it's called that. You can get really good ones from the 90s online for like $20. And a lot of them still work really well and will do what you need it to do. So don't spend too much money on this. You're going to spend a lot of money on film, so don't spend too much money on the camera. And if you just want to know really quick why I recommend this one has a lens that you can take off, so this will be good for the summer if you're just trying to start out. But it will also be good if you want to grow with it, if you want to do a little bit more advanced things. Then it will be really, really nice to not just have a point and shoot camera, but to also have a camera that can do a little bit more. One of the most important things, especially if you're trying to go traveling with this camera, is that you get one that's not too big and not too heavy. Okay, and then once you have your camera, it's time to get some film. You do need that. The best way to go about that is to either order some online, which is what I do. There's a lot of retailers online that get pretty good film. You don't need to know too much about it, just get started. There's drugstore films that are usually pretty good. You just want to get something that's either ISO 200 or ISO 400. That's like a really good range. You don't even really need to understand what that means. You'll learn. Just get film that you can afford. Over time, you'll probably start to develop some sort of preference, but for right now, it doesn't really matter that much. I personally really like shooting with Kodak Gold 200. That's my favorite film to shoot with. A lot of people love Portra 400. There's a ton of black and white film out there that can be really, really cool. But if you just want to take some cool pictures of your friends or at parties or whatever, get whatever drugstore film you can get. The number one point I want to bring across is don't overthink it. Just get started. You'll learn as you go. Then you go out and you shoot. So you load your camera up. If you have trouble loading the film, just look up exactly your camera and how to load a film, and it will probably show you. You'll probably find something online where you can just follow step-by-step directions, because a lot of cameras function in different ways, and after you've loaded a few cameras you'll probably get the hang of it, but sometimes it can be a little tricky. Like when I get a new camera, I usually look up a tutorial just to make sure I do it right. But yeah, get it loaded, make sure it's actually in there. This happens to beginners oftentimes. This is what happened to me when I started out, that I actually didn't load the film correctly and thought I was shooting a whole roll and ended up not shooting anything because the film never got put in correctly. And that's fine. Things like that happen. It's okay. Once you have your film loaded, you can go out and shoot. There's tutorials. You can always look up the exact manual for your camera. If you just have a point and shoot, make sure that you use the flash on auto, because what oftentimes happens with like the cheaper point and shoot cameras is that things turn out too dark because maybe you didn't turn on the flash, maybe it was just overall too dark. That's what happens a lot in the beginning. So make sure if you have a point and shoot camera to shoot in bright sunlight or use your flash. And then, go out and have fun with it. Try to get as many different shots as possible, as many different situations. If you're just going to be a casual vacation shooter, then, just don't be too precious with your 36 frames. I know it seems like if you only have a limited amount of frames on your roll that the pressure is pretty high and you don't really want to waste anything. But this is a very, very intense learning by doing skill. The more you do it, the faster you advance, the more photos you're going to get, and the more you're going to enjoy it. Because there's a pretty high fail rate, especially in the beginning. A lot of pictures are not going to turn out, and that's fine. Don't get too attached while you're shooting. The photos that you think are going to be amazing and like the very best, they're not going to be great. But there's going to be other photos on the roll that you kind of forgot you even took, and those are going to be the ones that just stick with you forever and that will turn out to be your favorite photos. So then, once you finish the roll, make sure you don't leave it in a hot car. Make sure you kind of take care of it a little bit, the film. I'd like to stay a little cooler if you can. You don't have to put it in the fridge, but just try to keep it cool until you get it developed. And then let's talk about developing. This is the point that really confuses a lot of people. All you have to do is look up a lab that's either close to you or a mail-in lab, which there are plenty of. Honestly, I think all over the world there's plenty of photography labs. Find a lab, look on their website. A lot of labs are really, really good about telling you exactly what to do with the film, how to mail it in, how to make your decisions, because there are some decisions to be made when it comes to film and how you want it developed. Follow the instructions pretty clearly, and if you have any questions, you can always reach out to the lab. Everyone that I've met in the photo sphere has been very, very nice and helpful and not mean to beginners, which I personally love. You don't need to get the highest resolution unless you're trying to do something like very, very specific, but you don't need to get the highest resolution scans. Just follow the prompts, send in your film, make sure you double tape it or maybe put your film in a little Ziploc bag or something just to make sure that it doesn't get damaged in transit. Even better if you can drop off the film at a local lab. Give them some time, usually around a week, sometimes 2 weeks. Usually you will get your digital files either via email or they have some sort of other system, but you'll get your digital files back as JPEGs usually, which is really, really convenient. And then most labs also will send back your negatives. And this is the reason why you shouldn't go to CVS or Walmart or somewhere where you can drop off your film. First of all, the quality is going to be way less good because there's not necessarily as much quality control happening. They also usually don't send back your negatives. I know that it might seem useless to get your negatives back at this point, but believe me, you will want your negatives one day and you'll be happy that you got them back. Usually these digital files come out looking really, really nice, but there are some things that we can do to just enhance the images a little bit. If you're already a photographer or have some experience editing, then this will not come as a surprise. You could also just use any editing app. You can even edit this in your iPhone or smartphone photo app. They have most of the essential things at this point. What I usually do with my film photos is I make sure the dark areas are as dark as possible without losing any of the light. So usually I tone down the black a little bit and lift up the shadows a little bit. And sometimes when I use a film stock that has a little bit too much green for me, I also increase the temperature a little bit. You can do this, it's fine. Just because it's analog doesn't mean you can't edit it. And then what to do with all these photos? Well, if they're of your family and friends, go ahead and print some. It's always just so nice to have printed images of what you're doing. There's something very special about not letting all of your digital files just rot on your hard drives. Take them out of there every once in a while, get some prints, get something to put on your wall, get something to gift for friends or family, and just enjoy the images and enjoy playing around with them. Maybe you can get some prints, maybe you can chop them up, do a little bit of collage work, or whatever. It's such a beautiful way to experience your surroundings and to really get a second look at what you're actually looking at. For me, photography is really a good way to perceive my situation, a good way to practice gratitude in a lot of ways, where I see something through the lens that I may have not realized was as beautiful, or even after a trip or after an experience, just having a little bit of that time buffer between you shooting the film and getting it back, that usually just creates such a special way of re-experiencing things and becoming aware of how beautiful a lot of things are and how worthy they are of having pictures taken. Yeah, make sure you photograph your friends and family. everyone is getting older and it's pretty visible in photos. And these photos, maybe they're not special now, maybe they'll be special later. This is my case for film photography. Maybe you've been shooting with digital or your phone camera and it doesn't spark that joy in you, and maybe you just need a different tool. For that, I think film cameras can be really, really nice to just kind of reinvigorate and redirect you in your artistic approach to photography, even if you're just taking snapshots. So yes, this is my case for film photography. It really just makes you feel good in a lot of ways, and it makes me feel really good. And I want everybody around me to start shooting film because it's just so rewarding and so nice. And that like slight nostalgic feeling that we all get from it is just priceless. So please let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if there are any other things that I can answer for you. I really want to be a good resource to take away that intimidation that people feel around this. It's really not that hard and you can do it. And please feel free to share with me if you end up getting a camera. I'd love to see your first rolls of film. Maybe I'll critique them a little bit, but I probably won't. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I have a few more videos coming up, but would also love to hear what you might want to see. Alright, thank you so much and have a great day!